Do you ever find yourself lying awake after a long night shift, staring at the ceiling, wondering why you can't get to sleep? Well, you're not alone. In today's episode, we explore the fascinating world of sleep, share some practical tips and tricks to help you stay energized and healthy in this work schedule that is anything but normal. So get cozy, grab your headphones, put us on the TV, because it's time to get your shift together.
It's time to get your shift together. You're listening to On the Path Podcast.
Oh, I like the sound of this.
With your host, Sparv.
Sleeping on night shift is so hard. There are so many different ways that I know that people have tried to get around it and have failed, sadly. And I want to be really upfront with you guys. It is hard. It is really, really freaking hard. So don't beat yourself up, but do listen up, because these practical tips and tricks that I've used for myself and clients, they could work for you and they could pay dividends quickly. All right. So let's kick it off with a little story. When I graduated from the police academy, I graduated straight into night shift. I had never done any form of shift work. I'd worked in some bars and nightclubs, but generally I'd pick up the shifts that finished at like 11 or 12 at night. And I think I've only probably done a couple of all-nighters before joining the police force, and they were for video game releases. Do you remember that? When you'd go to EB Games for the launch of Grand Theft Auto, for example? Like, man, those were the days. Anyway, you didn't come here to hear me talk about video games. So I graduated straight onto night shift in a town I didn't really know anything about. I already had a huge amount of expectations and fear, and then sprinkle on top of that the fact I'm landing on night shift. I learned a lot at the police academy. I learned a lot about how to be a police officer, but what I didn't learn was about how to manage my life around shift work. And I think that's really important, and I think it's missing in pretty much all shift work lifestyle training platforms. I don't know that nurses are taught how to manage their lives around shift work. My friends that are FIFO, they do crazy hours and they're not told anything. They're just expected to learn how to do it, right? And likewise with me at the police. So I graduated into night shift. My night shifts are 7 shifts long. 7. We get 4 shifts off before that, and we get 2 shifts off after it. Man, 11 p.m. to 7:30 a.m., 7 of them in a row, you start to feel like a bloody zombie by the end of that. Really, it's mad. So I land on night shift, and my first question is, what time do I wake up? I can't sleep during the day. This is a problem already. And my circadian rhythm, it's flipped overnight. Now, so circadian rhythm, quick little biology lesson for you all. The circadian rhythm is your internal body clock, okay? It kind of dictates when you should be feeling tired, when you should be awake, when you should be feeling alert, active, all these sorts of things. This is kind of governed by your circadian rhythm or your internal body clock. This gets flipped upside down when you start night shift. So you land on night shift, like I did on day 1 after graduating, and all of a sudden my breakfast routine, so to speak, is at 8:30 p.m., 9 p.m. My dinner routine is supposed to be at 8 a.m. maybe? So it's really complicated, and there is, a bit like the previous episode, no one size fits all. But here are some lessons that I've learned from my time as a police officer doing wacky hours that have helped me sleep. Starting with sleep hygiene, okay? This is super important. Sleep hygiene is no different to the process of washing your hands after going to the toilet. And I see you guys in there not washing your hands after using the urinal. Dirty bastards. Sleep hygiene. How is your room? Are you making your bed after you're getting up? keeping your sheets clean. When was the last time you bought a pillow? I went to buy pillows with my brother-in-law the other day. He said he hadn't bought pillows for quite a while. Whatever, I'm the same, I haven't bought a pillow for quite a while. And he was shocked to see the price of pillows. $30, $40 at IKEA. And I said to him, dude, you sleep on a pillow every single night. What else do you use as much as you use your pillow? Think about that. Okay, think about it a little longer. Probably nothing, right? Other than socks and jocks, pillows and beds, they're kind of serious investments that you need to put some money into to make sure that you've got the best possible thing that you can afford. Now, I will say and premise this with, I actually have a pretty cheap pillow. My wife bought us both really expensive pillows, and I'm sorry, but I hated it. So, yeah. You know, I don't know if you've read the book, Barefoot Investor. He suggests to buy this pillow. We bought it, and well, I fucking hated it. And my wife loves it, but anyway, I get a cheap pillow. Point is, don't stinge out on a pillow and a mattress. Get some good stuff and keep them clean. Rotate your pillowcases, rotate your sheets, rotate your blankets. Now this sounds really fucking boring, and I'm sorry, but if you want to sleep better on night shift, then you need to turn up your sleep hygiene, okay? Keep your room clean. Light a candle if you got to, right? Let some fresh air in once in a while. And speaking of windows, what are your blind situations like? Are you sleeping with blinds like these next to me that let in the whole world? It's time to invest in some blackout blinds. Yes, you're a shift worker now. This is a part of who you are, so it's going to take some investing to make sure that you're able to live happier, healthier lives. So invest in some blackout blinds. I'll put some links down below, wherever it is that you're listening, for ones that I've used or that I suggest using. We got these really great ones that just plug onto the window with like little sucker things. Really easy to use. Pull them on, pull them off. Boom, Bob's your uncle. So we've got clean, quality bedding, and we've got blackout blinds. What's next? Let's look at TVs and phones. Most of the data out there, most of the science out there says what you'll probably expect it to say, which is to minimize the use of your device and a TV in your bedroom. Now I'm going to give you a hot tip right now. Your bedroom should be for two things and two things only. Sleeping and shagging, and that's it. Okay? When you go to your bedroom at night or on night shift in the morning, your mind should already be putting yourself in, this is my sleep space. We want to create those neural pathways in which when we enter that door into our sacred place, our body already knows, it's time. When it comes to mobile phones, I know people that like scrolling TikTok and Instagram for some quick dopamine hits before bed, but I find equally that those algorithms can throw us something that'll wire us and trigger us and get us excited or nervous or angry. And that's kind of what the algorithm's there for, to keep our attention, right? It's not designed to put us to sleep. It's designed to keep us scrolling, to keep us watching. So my advice, no phones an hour before bed. Leave it out. And if you really want to go ham on the sleep hygiene, leave the phone out of your bedroom altogether. Get an alarm clock. You can find them on the internet for $20. Okay? Get an alarm clock next to your bed and use that instead. So you're not tempted, if you can't sleep, to roll over and pick up the phone and check what notifications you have. You don't need them right now. You need to bloody sleep. And another sleep hygiene tip. We might not like, we sleep better when we're colder. So those hot sleepers out there, I'm kind of confused about you. You're kind of an anomaly. But anyway, sleeping in a cool room is far better for drifting off to sleep. And I won't go into the full science of it, but there's a whole thing about your core temperature having to increase slightly when it comes time to wake up. Anyway, point is, sleep cooler where possible. So if you've got some AC, put that on, ceiling fan, great. If you can afford an 8 sleep, oh boy, damn, get yourself one of them. If anyone from 8 Sleep is watching this, feel free to sponsor your boy. I would bloody love one. So anyway, keep your room nice and cool while you sleep. It's a fantastic way to help you fall asleep and stay asleep. Another tip, have a shower before bed. Some people are 1 shower a day kind of people, and each to their own. Double up, okay? Double up. Have a shower before bed. Have a routine that you set, that you can control before you sleep. Even if you don't shower, I think that's weird. I think you should shower after the whole day. Shower, wash your face, brush your teeth, moisturize, whatever. Do your whole bloody routine, and that sets the tone for bedtime is coming. Phone's away, we're showering, we're in bed, we're going off to sleep. A curious one is what to do in bed, whether you should read or stare at the ceiling. The science, as with all science that's out there, there's kind of differing arguments. I tend to like reading before bed. I prefer to read like non-fiction sort of stuff, while I'm a mega nerd for like health and business. I don't like to read those books before bed. They kind of fire me up. But this is one that's kind of personal preferences, I find. If you're really engaged in a book, God, I remember when Harry Potter came out and smashing that in a day. Like, that's probably not the book you want to read right before sleep. But if you're reading something that's just meh, and you're able to cruise through it and read a chapter before bed and it helps wind you down, then by all means, go and read a book in bed. All of these slight sleep hygiene strategies can and should be implemented on night shift. You notice that there was no use of, at this time, do X, Y, Z. That doesn't work for shift workers. What I'm saying is to include these sleep hygiene tips when you can. So if you're getting home from work like I would at about 8 a.m, I would start my sleep hygiene routine then and there. My phone goes away at that point. If you listen to my previous podcast, I'd like to go for a walk with the dogs. I do a few blocks, whether it's raining, whether it's sunshine, a good way to unwind at the end of a shift. And then I'd come back home and I'd do the rest. I'd do my shower routine, I'd get into bed, the blackout blinds are up, I've got the room as cool as possible, and then I begin the process of trying to fall asleep. Which, obviously, doesn't work all the time. Even if you've nailed all of those tips I've given you, sometimes sleep isn't going to come. Now, you find yourself lying in bed staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep. What do you do? Well, here are my first 2 tips that I recommend. Tip number 1, download the app Calm. That's the app I recommend. Do it. Download it. I think it's $50 for a year. It is filled with, it is enormous. I barely scratched the surface with this app, right? It's filled with meditations, it's got sleep stories, it's got actors like Matthew McConaughey, LeBron James, not an actor. Oh, technically he's an actor. Who's in Space Jam? Anyway, you got a bunch of different people doing sleep stories, meditations, also sleep noises or soundscapes. My first tip of the 2, if you're unable to sleep and you've already tried all my sleep hygiene stuff, my first tip, are you listening to white noise while you sleep? Now, white noise doesn't have to be, the static that you used to hear on the old tellies. I listen to, I think it's called rain on a window. Heavy rain on a window is what I listen to. I put that next to my bed with a timer which is built into the app for 3 hours. And I listen, I'm very careful to actively listen to that rain when I'm trying to fall asleep. It's also great to kind of diffuse any external noise. Because we're trying to sleep during the day, the world doesn't just fucking stop. You got cars driving past, the postie's going to come knock, old mate next door's probably going to be mowing his lawns, I remember one night shift, some dude was angle grinding something, and just, I saw, did a Facebook post about it, I remember, but I was like, are you fucking kidding? Angle grinder? And to be fair, it was like 10 a.m. on a Wednesday, but anyway, it still annoyed me. So listen to some white noise, or like I said, some sort of soundscape, and try and focus on that soundscape. This isn't about stopping the thoughts flowing through your mind. It's just about observing them, acknowledging them, whatever. Okay, yep, I'm thinking about I didn't do that bit of paperwork. I'm thinking about that job could have gone better. Yep, don't try and block it out. Try and focus on something else, sure, but don't block it out. So for me, I like to try and listen to that rain on the window. Another option number 2, is try meditation. They've got these full body relaxation meditations on the app that I think are just phenomenal. They really get you looking introspectively, and because you're concentrating on something else, you're concentrating on listening to the narrator's voice and doing the tasks that they're suggesting you do. I find it's a really great way to help switch off that brain. It just turns it off, and before you know it, if you're doing like a 15-minute full body scan meditation, I'm asleep. I'm asleep 9 times out of 10, even if I'm wired. So give those 2 a crack. Now, I'm going to give you a third tip, which I was always thinking about, but I wasn't going to give it to you until you'd heard the first 2 and you'd given those a crack. If you're trying to sleep on night shift, you've done all my sleep hygiene stuff, you've done it all. You've listened to the rain on the windows, and you've done a meditation, and it's not working. You're still staring at the ceiling. Then here comes my final tip. My final controversial tip. Get out of your bed and leave. Go into another room. This comes back to my tip about our bedroom being our sanctuary, our place of sleep and sleep only. Leave the room if sleep isn't there. Stop putting that pressure on yourself, okay? The sleep isn't coming right now, and that's okay. It will come eventually. But the longer you spend in there, getting yourself wound up, pissed off and angry that sleep isn't coming, the more unlikely it is that sleep is going to come at all. So get out. Go into your living room. Go for a walk. Get out of the room, leave the space. Maybe go and read a book in your living room. Maybe it's just sitting in the backyard, just sitting in nature, listening to the birds, do some journaling, whatever. An activity that won't spike you up too hard, I would prefer. Just try and do something that's relaxing. It could even be just mindlessly watching Netflix. In another room though, okay? I can't stress that enough. We want to lock down that space as our sanctuary of sleep. That is it. So, once you're feeling a little more tired, or maybe you've given it an hour or 2 doing other stuff, have another try. Go through each of those steps again and see whether sleep will come this time. Sleep on night shift is unlikely to come in an 8-hour block. For some of you, and including me, it was more like a 2-hour block here, a 3-hour block here, and maybe another hour later on. Don't put pressure on yourself to get it in one slog. It's completely normal that you're going to wake up, be alert, kind of out of whack because you're awake mid-night shift. Don't put that pressure on yourself. Give yourself permission to be awake and give yourself permission to go back to sleep. So, in this instance, when you have fallen asleep but you've woken back up, there's another element that I really should bring up. And that is caffeine. Now, I'm a sucker for first thing in the morning, having a cup of coffee before anything else happens. I will say, Andrew Huberman told me not to drink coffee until about an hour and a half after waking up. And I've kind of been doing that for the last 6-7 months, and I feel so much better. I feel like there's less of a crash. I allow myself to wake up naturally before chemically enhancing my alertness. So, if you're in the middle of the day and you've woken up and you can't get back to sleep, don't go and have a coffee, okay? It's not what to do. It's not going to help you achieve anything. It's going to fuck you up. It really is. It's going to fuck you up. You're not going to get any more sleep for the rest of the day, or it's highly unlikely that you will. And you're going to be fried. Matt Walker has a great saying, a great quote, and it goes like this. The shorter your sleep, the shorter your life. Ooh, damn. That's bad, isn't it? The shorter you sleep, the shorter you live. I was really careful not to talk about all the terrible illnesses and physical damage that a lack of sleep does, because I know we get a real lack of sleep. And rather than kind of focus on that, I'd rather focus on ways that we can sleep better. Matt Walker's an absolute guru, the sleep guy. Look him up on YouTube. Actually, I'll put a link to a show he did with Joe Rogan in the link below. Fascinating guy. Anyway, the shorter you sleep, the shorter you live. Drop the coffee if you can't sleep on night shift during the day. Give it another crack after a few hours and see whether you can pick up another couple of hours of sleep. When it comes to caffeine on night shift, in the period of our day when we're supposed to be awake, it's a little tricky. As with everything on night shift, it's a little tricky. I personally recommend not having any caffeine after like 6 p.m, 7 p.m. Okay, we'll give it to 8 p.m. at the latest. But it's really easy to reach for a sugary energy drink in the middle of the night, or banging out 5 or 6 coffees during the shift. But I really want you to prioritize that sleep post night shift. Every time you reach for one of those caffeinated beverages, just think about how shit you're gonna feel tomorrow at midday when you haven't slept yet and you're staring at the ceiling. You know your kids are coming home in a couple hours from school and you haven't had any sleep, and you're only day 2 into your night shift rotation. It's time that you prioritize your sleep. You put it first. You say, no more caffeine after 7 p.m. and you're only having the 1, right? It's going to help dramatically. It's probably the biggest problem I see in shift workers who aren't sleeping on night shift, right? They're smashing the caffeine. One of the other biggest problems I see is alcohol use. Right? Some people think that drinking alcohol helps them get to sleep, which might in fact be the case. But studies have shown that drinking alcohol before sleep actually reduces the quality of sleep that we get. Now you might argue, well, any sleep is better than no sleep, and there might be something in that. But any amount of good sleep is better than a whole heap of shit sleep. Let that one sink in, okay? So you've learnt some tips and some tricks today about how to sleep on night shift. You've learned about sleep hygiene, the fact that your bedroom is your sanctuary of sleep and sex only. You've learned about buying expensive pillows and blankets and bedding, showering before sleep, minimizing caffeine dramatically when you're on night shift. That is a huge takeaway. All of these tips are ones that I've used. I specifically took the most out of accepting the fact that I'm not going to get that block of 8 hours sleep. When I kind of accepted that and allowed myself to get the rest I needed when I could, took the pressure off my shoulders, and I ended up sleeping a lot better. I ended up getting block sleep in far more regularly than not. Those are my tips on sleeping on night shift. I hope that you guys take something away from them. I hope you've learnt something. I know I did. It's a tricky thing, sleeping on night shift. There's no doubt about it. Be sure to follow the show on YouTube and Spotify, and please, if you haven't done so already, sign up to my Morning Parade daily email. I put a lot of effort into that. It's a daily email from me with shit about shift work, about all sorts of stuff that's on my mind. Today's episode email, I sent out a reference to my new favourite TV show that I binge watched in a couple of days. You'll have to sign up to my email to find out what it is though. It's pretty good. Okay, guys, I had a great time being here today. I look forward to speaking with you next Monday. Be sure, as always, to get your shift together.